Hi guys, and this video is basically about the new Sony rx10 Mark IV. I've had this a couple of weeks now, and I've been using it pretty much every day, just taking it out and just snapping away and just getting used to the controls and just the way it handles and how quickly the zoom lens moves in and out. Basically, it's an incredible bit of kit. It has got its drawbacks, like anything. It's got a bit of compromise. One being the sensor size, and we wanted to do a test between, obviously it's 600mm f4 ability, and it comes right back to 24mm, but it's a staggering bit of kit. It's very sharp, very sharp lens, very usable. Anyway, so we have compared it against the Canon 1dxmk2 with it mated to the 600mm f4 Mark II by Canon, so a monster of a lens. And we just wanted to see what the difference was, focusing speeds, how sharp the images were, just to see the depth of field difference actually, and it's very noticeable. Very noticeable. Especially from, we were stood back probably 15 metres or so, back from the subject. We used a statue to start off with, and you can see the drop off of the depth of field and everything, which I can show you now actually. So this is one of the shots. So watch this off. This is from the Canon. So we've cropped in, not 100% as such. That is the Sony rx10 now at its 100%. So what I've done is I've used my screen as the 100% crop. The Canon, and I've also used my Sony a7R2 on Gavin's lens. We've got my adapter, the Sigma adapter, the MC11, just to see another comparison really, just to see the difference between the Canon versus the a7R2, just on quality of the image. But the actual main test was between the rx10 and Gav's Canon 1dx Mark II. So this is all the shots are straight out of the camera, just been converted just for ease of use, and then I've opened them in Photoshop. So this shot here is at 100% crop from the rx10. As you can see, let's put the handle on here so we can actually see something. There it is. There you go. So hopefully you can see that on the screen. So we all focused on the eyes or thereabouts. We're quite a bit away from the subject, so about 15 metres or so. The main difference I can see, I mean this is so minimal it's ridiculous. So that's the Canon, so come out very slightly. That's Gav's Canon, and that's the rx10. There's one thing I didn't actually try, which I suddenly thought about 5 minutes ago, was I should have tried eye focus on the Sony to see if it would actually focus on his eyes. If it had taken that as a face, it probably would. I'll have to try it again some other time. But as we were thinking, actually, sharpness, the Sony's possibly just about got it. It's so difficult to see on screen. The file size differences are very similar. The Sony a7R2, because the resolution is so massive, that is only a 60% or 68% crop on the screen, which due to the extra pixels. But what you can see straight away between my Sony a7R2 and Gavin's, the depth of field is very shallow just off here on the right hand side, and obviously to the left slightly, but because it disappears into the bush there, compared to the rx10, which you can see here. It's nowhere near as shallow, and that's down to the sensor size. It can't physically, it's just not going to be able to get the depth, the shallow depth of field there. But like we were saying, as a usable piece of equipment that you can pick up and it weighs 1 kilo and take it anywhere you want, compared to a 600mm f4 lens from Canon that weighs, I think, around about 7 kilos or thereabouts with the camera attached to it, plus the big tripod. It's not, it's crazy. But the main thing I bought the rx10 for was a camera that I can use on a pro level standard anywhere. So yes, I've got the Sony a7R2, 43 megapixels almost, absolute beast. Quality is insane. It's super sharp. But same as Gavin, he you don't want to carry these huge lenses around all the time. You just want to be able to pick up something that you can go out and use for the day, and still pretty much get the photos you really want to get. Sometimes you have if you bought a compact, some of the smaller compact cameras, even some of the cheap bridge cameras, they're 400 or 500 quid or something. They're so restrictive, and when you've got a certain amount of knowledge and experience, and you want to get the images, you visualize something, don't you, and you really want to get that image. You think, right, yeah, and you're so frustrated because the camera you've got can't give you the results, and I wish I had a DSLR with me, or wish I had the A7R2, the mirrorless, or the A9, or whatever you own. If it's a full frame, DSLR or mirrorless camera, and whatever lenses you need for that job, you're going to get it. It's going to make your life a lot easier. But in some respects, having that massive lens to get the shot that we've just got with the RX10 compared to, so that shot there, there are some compromises. One being the depth of field. If I was to move in a lot more, so we didn't have to crop this image, the depth of field would drop off quite a lot, and it does look very pleasing. It does soften off very nicely. So if we take the Sony, the A7R2, you can see that's extremely sharp, very clean image, and it's good. To be honest, there's hardly anything in between the Canon. I don't think, if anything, who knows? It's so close you couldn't. They're not exact. That's the thing, because the cameras were slightly off, and obviously the focus change and everything between cameras and the white balance difference. Gavin shoots in sRGB and I was shooting in RGB, so that may also be a slight colour difference, but it seems very similar actually. Hardly anything in it at all. I notice there's a lot less shadow there on the right hand side. A bit more shadow. It might be the exposure difference. So I'm going to shut down the A7R2 version, and then I'm going to bring out these two and actually have them side by side, so you can kind of see. A bit smaller. Like I said, the only real difference I could see was the depth of field. We're both shooting ISO 100 in these shots. Obviously my crop's slightly different, that's why it looks a bit wonky. They're not exact. That's about right, isn't it, size wise? So colour, very slightly different, but the main difference there is, I think, the depth of field on the right hand side. Very slightly on the left hand side, but that's not really, it doesn't really jump out at you as much as the right hand side there. So very interesting on the way it softens off. You get definitely more of an edge there. I was shooting slightly to, I was probably about half a metre to the right of Gav, so his angle of view is very slightly different anyway. Hence why he's got there's nothing there behind the ear and everything like that, where I've got the part of the bush there. Other than that, it's very amazing. £15,000 on the left, £1,800 on the right. On an everyday use, pick up that camera, the RX10. This is where the RX10 wins. You can pick it up, walk outside, get the shot. There's no messing around setting things up. But if you're going to go and do a job, and you're going to go somewhere, and you're going to be like, right, I'm going to go do wildlife photography today, and I'm going to a particular place, you would take the Canon or the A7R2 on that 600mm f4 big lens, and you would get the better shots, 100%. But if someone turned up with an RX10 next to you and got some shots and just happened to walk away, and you were like, well, that was fast. You know, he's never going to see the shots you've taken, you're never going to see the shots he's taken. And if someone looked at them and they never saw the differences, I don't think there'd be much in it. You know, people would never realise what the difference was. So yeah, there's a big difference in depth of field. We can see that, and that's down to the sensor size. Noise at ISO 100, I don't think there's anything in it. I think if we were to do a noise test, which maybe we have to do, not necessarily on that lens again, but maybe just a noise test in lower light and things like that, I think it could be interesting. There's lots of tests out there, you know, scientific tests that they do these, you know, comparisons, and it shows this, that, and the other. But there's a way around things. You know, if you overexpose or underexpose slightly, you can actually lose a lot of the noise, and then obviously adjust it down later, or up later, depending on what you're doing. So it makes it, you know, you can say cheat. You can get around things. The RX10 Mark IV does have an auto ISO, so you've got the auto ISO and you've got the auto ISO above that, and it basically reduces noise by taking a few shots, and then literally merges them together. So any noise that was in, say, the 8th pixel in from 10 down or something like that, you look at it and there's a bit of noise there. If you actually look on the second picture, it's possibly not there anymore because it's gone to another one. You know, a bit of noise has shown up somewhere else, and then obviously the third one or fourth one or whatever it's doing, and then it compresses them together and hopefully reduces the noise down to a usable amount. Well, I've shot the RX10 in very low light at up to ISO 3200 with the stars and everything, and I was actually quite surprised at how clean the images were. An everyday camera, £1,800, does pretty much everything that any photographer really needs, unless you're doing it as a professional job. You'd pick the DSLR or the A7R2 or A7R3 or the A9. That's the difference. So if you're being paid for it, you'd be using the higher end cameras. If you're picking it up and you're going out for the day, you know, or you're going exploring, going a bit of travelling, stuff like that, I'd pick the the RX10 Mark IV any day of the week. Absolutely amazing. I tend to now, if I'm just going out for the afternoon, in the bag, I've got a small bag in there, spare battery, formatted card, off I go. That's it. Anyway, so here comes there's a lot of talking, but here comes the little bit of video we did with the comparison of the 1DX, which is Mark II, and the RX10 Mark IV